The Boston Red Sox just lost a series to the Baltimore Orioles. The Boston Red Sox just lost a series to the Baltimore Orioles. The Boston Red Sox just lost a series to the Baltimore Orioles. Again! 10-0 was the score of the game. Oh gosh, it's just a crapshoot. It's a crapshoot. My name is Derek. This is Red Sox Recap on Bleacher, Brawls. And let's get into it. So, due to the Red Sox losing again, I think it would be appropriate to, show this on the screen. And they lost 10-0. 10-0 against the Orioles. And I was looking at the Orioles today, and obviously no Cedric Mullins in the lineup, which makes this even worse. But I was looking at them, I'm like, to beat the Orioles, you really have to get on their starting pitching. You have to hit their starting pitching hard, because their bullpen this year has been very good. They're fifth in bullpen ERA in the big leagues right now. Their bullpen has been stellar this season, absolutely stellar. Like, no doubt about it, their bullpen has been stellar. So you got to hit their starters. You got to hit them hard, because if not, that's been the thing. Baltimore wins a lot of close games this year. You know why? Because their bullpen's been so good, and their bullpen can hold other teams. That's why you see them getting a lot of walk-off wins, or they're getting a lot of games into extras. It's because their bullpen's been that good where they can hold teams. Obviously, would help them if their starters could, give them some outings. But they got one tonight. It was a big outing for the Orioles. And, when Tyler Wells, if you're the Red Sox, you're looking at it, if Tyler Wells goes 6 innings and you only get 2 hits and 1 walk off of him, only 3 guys reached base against him. I don't know what you're doing. I don't know what the Red Sox had to do. Story had a hit, Bogarts had a hit. That was it. That was the only 2 hits the Red Sox had against Wells. The only 2 hits. There wasn't anything from Raffy, nothing from JD, which that's only the second game this year. He doesn't have a hit. Nothing from Kike, nothing from Verdugo, nothing from Franchi, nothing from Jackie. I'm not saying you're expecting stuff from guys like Franchi and Jackie every game, but God, come on. Dahlbeck had a hit tonight, and he only got 1 at bat. And Kike, Devers, Martinez, Verdugo, Franchi, Bradley, none of y'all had hits in 3 or 4 at bats. You let the guy who gets clowned for being awful get a hit and 1 at bat, and you did absolutely nothing. And obviously the Orioles, it's a shutout for them. Good for the Orioles. Good for the Orioles. They deserve it. They won this series fair and square. That's the Red Sox are what? 3-5 against the Orioles this year. Good for the Orioles. Good for the Orioles. They deserve it. But if you're the Red Sox, this is unacceptable. This is unacceptable. I said if they went 5-2 in the stretch, that I'd be okay with it. I'd be happy. Well, they've already gone 2-3. They're not going 5-2. The best they can do is 4-3. And I said I wouldn't necessarily be happy with that. And I'm not going to be happy with that, because I thought 4-3 would mean you go 3-2 against Baltimore and then you split the Cincinnati series. You just lost a 5-game series to Baltimore. What do I have to explain? You just you suck. You suck. The Red Sox had a chance to go over 500, and now they're 23-26. They're only 6-4 in their last 10 now, and it goes a little bit deeper than that. You look at it. You go back to their last 7 games. They lost 4 of their last 7. 4 of their last 7 they've lost. This isn't the team that was just on a hot streak. Yes, they can score. Only in games they win. They can't score when they lose. It's boom or bust with this team. That's not what you want out of a team. This is why they get hot and everyone's excited. But this is just showing this team's just boom or bust right now. Yes, they can get on a hot streak, but they can also get on a cold streak, just like they were on one at the start of the season. This team's boom or bust right now. They're either going to go and put up an absolute boatload of runs, and they're going to win, or they don't score, and they're not going to win. Their pitching could have gave up 1 run tonight and they would have lost. Why? Because they couldn't do anything offensively. Because in games like these, the pitching doesn't matter. I know the Red Sox gave up 10 runs. I know Rich Hill gave up 6 runs. But who cares? Yes, you don't want to see that from Rich Hill, but who cares? Your offense didn't do anything. You weren't going to win this game anyways. You scored 0, a big fat donut. You cannot win a game if you score 0 runs, unless the other team forfeits, but then you technically get runs. You don't, if the other team forfeits, you don't win 0-0 on the scorebook, on the score sheet. No, I don't remember. I don't know exactly what it is, but I know it's not 0-0. You get given runs because you won. You don't win 0-0. You cannot win a game scoring nothing. You cannot. You literally cannot win a game with 0 runs. The Red Sox were never going to win tonight. And it brings up questions. Obviously, Matt Strahm seems like he's out now. He got put on the COVID IL. Not good for the Red Sox because he's basically been their de facto closer. And they brought back up Sourmore. Sourmore didn't look bad today. He went 2 innings, didn't give up any runs. He did allow the 2 inherited runners from Hill to score. But I'm not going to blame that on Sourmore. Sack fly and then a little dribble down the third baseline that a run scored on. He got the outs. And realistically, it's on Rich Hill for giving up those 2 runs. It's not Sourmore. Sourmore didn't, there wasn't super hard contact off him. Just Baltimore hitters doing their job, sack fly, and then a RBI ground out. That was just a dribbler, but he made contact with it, which allowed the run to score. So, and then Brazier gave him a run, and then Matt Barnes just send Matt Barnes to the moon, to the sun. Don't let him come back. At this point, I'm ready to send Barnes down to AAA. And he might need it because it's not working in the big leagues. He's got to figure something out. And just sitting in the big leagues and only pitching in a mop-up role isn't going to help you figure anything out. You need game time. That's why they sent Darwinzon Hernandez to AAA at the start of this year, because he needed game time to figure some stuff out. Matt Barnes isn't going to figure anything out sitting in the bullpen all game when the Red Sox are doing well, and then coming in a mop-up role like tonight when they were already down 7-0 entering the 9th inning. They're not going to win. They already took out Devers and Bogarts. They're just saying, hey, we're not winning tonight. No, we're not going to win, so we're not even going to try. Here's Matt Barnes. Here you go, Baltimore. Matty batting practice, as Red Sox stats said on Twitter. It's just I can't even put it into words. Matt Barnes is only on this team because of his contract, because the Red Sox won't DFA him because of his contract, because it's this year and next year. But at this point, send him to AAA and hopes he can get something done and hopes he can figure something out, because he's not figuring anything out at the big league level. He's just not. And if he goes to AAA and is just bad, just straight up bad in AAA, just stick him there for the rest of this year and then DFA him in the offseason at this point, because it's not worth it to have him on your roster at this point. Give someone else a chance. You have Cutter Crawford. I know he wasn't great, but there was a little bit of promise, especially that Tampa Bay outing when he finally started throwing a high fastball this amount. Sourmore still only got a 3.18 ERA, so he hasn't been terrible. And as a guy who's kind of a low leverage guy, I'll take Sourmore. And when he's on, he's very good. He just has to be on. Brazier, I'm kind of done with Brazier as well at this point. He's not that much better than Barnes at this point either. I'm ready to just get them both out of here. It looks like Brazier's magic is gone, and Barnes looks like he's having a Brandon Workman moment, where Workman in 2020 was lights out, and then they traded him, and then the second half he was horrible. That was Matt Barnes last year, except the Red Sox didn't trade him. They stuck with him, and he just was bad. And this is the extension of it, because Brandon Workman 2020 started off really good, and halfway through the season he just fell off a cliff, and it was after that to trade him, but he fell off a cliff. Then in 2021 he was just awful. Matt Barnes in 2021 was elite the first half, borderline elite the first half. They didn't trade him because they were good, but then he fell off a cliff for the second half, and then he's just been awful in 2022. It's the same thing that's happening, except we just don't want to admit that Matt Barnes is bad because we're paying him $8 million. Matt Barnes has been bad this year. Bad. Borderline horrific. It's not even a joke anymore. I was like, oh yeah, Matt Barnes, he might be able to bounce back. No, there's no talk about a Matt Barnes bounce back right now. He needs to figure something out. Because I don't want the Red Sox paying. I'd rather have the Red Sox pay him $8 million to not be on the team than to be on the team right now. It's not helping. It's not. And like Matt Barnes isn't helping him or the Red Sox by not pitching well. Obviously, he can't just flip a switch and go, "Oh yeah, I'm pitching well now." But like, you can figure something out. Like you thought you had something figured out. No, you didn't have anything figured out. You had 1 or 2 good outings, and it was right back to old Matt Barnes, who's not good. This isn't the Matt Barnes that was just decent in 2018 or 2017, or this isn't the decent Matt Barnes who's a decent setup guy, but you don't want to be a closer. No, this is like a mop-up role at best, Matt Barnes. Matt Barnes hasn't been this bad in his MLB career ever. Like, just hasn't. This is like a young kid getting called up from single A and pitching. That's how bad Matt Barnes has been. It's been horrific. It's like, I don't even know what to say about it. It's been awful. And the lineup tonight, like, Kike's down to 201. He's about to be under the Mendoza line. You know, Devers, yes, he had a bad game. Okay. He gets a pass. He's hitting 340. Same thing with JD. He's hitting 369. Get a pass. Bogarts had the hit. Okay. Verdugo's just been unlucky this year, so he gets a little bit of a pass because he's just been so unlucky all year. He didn't even strike out today. He put the ball in play every single time. But Story got a hit to a bat. He also had drill walk. He did strike out again, which is a little concerning, but I still think it's kind of that. I think he's still getting used to surroundings and just a bunch of other stuff. So he gets a little bit of a pass. Franchi, he's had a bunch of good games. He was bound to have a not great game at some point. So, and Jackie, you went out last from offense. Obviously, Vasquez will take 1 for 3. That's his average is at 303 right now. Vasquez has been very good, but it's at this point, I'm starting to wonder where Kike Hernandez is really helping the Red Sox besides defense, because he's hitting 201. Yes, he's got a little bit of a hot stretch, but would the Red Sox be better served to look at selling Kike here at the deadline and just bringing up Duran and letting Duran play at this point? Even if the Red Sox are somewhat looking to make a push for the postseason, I think at this point the Red Sox could be a better team with Duran in center field, at least offensively, and defensively you have Jackie and Wright. It's not like you have Renfroe and Wright anymore. You got Jackie and Wright. Jackie's would help Duran a lot more than what Renfroe would have. So it comes back to that. It's and I think the Red Sox could explore flipping Kike. I don't think it's out of the question. Even if they're going to make a push, they could flip Kike for some prospects and then go out and, get a bullpen guy. That's not out of the question. The Red Sox don't have to just buy or just sell. They can do a little bit of both here. Especially if they're in that kind of middle spot where you can't really sell because you're not bad enough to sell, but you're not really good enough to buy. The Red Sox could kind of do a mini buy and mini sell, kind of do a little bit of both. Sell Kike, get some prospects, but you bring up Duran, but you also buy in the bullpen, get a legit bullpen guy, hopefully. Because realistically, position player, you're not going to add much unless you take away. Left field, Verdugo, you're not really going to add. They're not trading Verdugo, so you're not moving anything. Kike, unless you're not going to really get a center fielder better than him, realistically, at this point. Jackie, yes, you could upgrade right field, but they love his defense so much, they're not going to do it. Let's be honest. They just won't unless he just can't. It turns out that unless he stops hitting at Fenway. He's hitting 222 this year. He hasn't been bad this year offensively, sitting over 300 Fenway, so they're not going to replace him. You go to the infield, not replacing Devers. Bogarts, not going to get rid of him unless you're selling. Story's not going anywhere. Franchi isn't going anywhere. I don't even think Dahlbeck's going anywhere. Vasquez not going anywhere unless you're selling. Same thing with Plucky's probably not going anywhere. JD's not going anywhere unless you're selling, unless you're like in a full-blown sell. So it's at this point, the Red Sox aren't bad enough to sell, but not good enough to buy. They really need to take a look at it and say, hey, we might need to look at trading Kike, because you got to give Duran a chance. Either you stick with Kike the rest of this year and you let him walk and then you bring in Duran, or you trade Duran and buy with using Duran and you sign Kike after this year, or you get another center fielder, but most likely keep Kike, or you just trade Kike at the deadline and bring up Duran anyways. Like, you can't pick and choose. You can't have Kike and Duran pass this year, because at some point they're gonna have to either play Duran or get rid of him. They're gonna have to choose at some point. They're gonna have to, and I think that point could be before the trade deadline. If not, definitely the offseason. And the Red Sox are going to have to figure it out because Kike, I don't really like him as a leadoff hitter. It's nothing against him, but he just doesn't fit the leadoff spot. I'm not saying Duran would, but they got to figure something out, and you got to shake something up because obviously it's not working right now. And shaking up isn't going to be trading Bogaerts or Martinez. That's not, or Vasquez. That's not shaking it up. And because then you're just selling at that point. But Kike, who hasn't been playing like he was last year at this point, and you bring up fresh legs in Duran, maybe that's the shakeup the lineup needs. Maybe it is. And Duran also adds speed on the bases. I'm not saying it would work, but at some point, you're just going to say, you know what? F it. We're going to go for it. We're going to do what we think is best. And at this point, moving Kike might be best for the Red Sox because unless they're on a full bye, because you got to do something with Duran. You got to figure it out. And that's the thing with this Red Sox team right now. As I know I'm going along, but I got to get this out, is everyone thinks they either have to buy or sell. And those are the two clear paths. And they can buy and trade a couple prospects away and bring in like a bullpen piece. It's mainly going to be bullpen pieces, let's be honest. Maybe a first baseman or maybe a right fielder, but mostly bullpen. Maybe like a first baseman or right fielder, but not both. Not both a first baseman and a right fielder. Or they're going to sell, and Bogaerts is going to go. JD is going to go. Vasquez is going to go. Kike is probably going to go. Maybe even Nathan Eovaldi is going to go. Or you do a little bit of both. Maybe get rid of Kike, but you go and get a bullpen piece. Maybe you're like, we don't really have room for Dahlbeck, so we're going to ship out Dahlbeck in another trade, but we're also going to bring in this. The trade-off. It's the Red Sox have to find that balance. And because I don't think they're going to be good enough to be full-on sellers this year. I don't think they're going to be bad enough to be full-on sellers unless they choose that's 100% the direction they want to go. And they're not going to be good enough to be full-on buyers. Not going to be the Mets. They're not going to be the Yankees. They're not going to be the Dodgers. They're just not. They're not those teams. The Dodgers, the Mets might be able to go out and get Luis Castillo. The Red Sox aren't anywhere close to that. They're not touching that. They're not. The Red Sox, if the Red Sox are buying, they're not making any blockbuster buys. They can make some blockbuster sells, but not making blockbuster buys. That's the thing. That's what has to be realized. They're not making any blockbuster buys if they do buy. It's going to be a bullpen piece, maybe a position player, probably a bullpen piece, or maybe two bullpen pieces, or maybe a starter for injury cover. And you can put Whitlock and Houck, keep Whitlock and Houck both in the bullpen. And maybe, who knows, maybe they want to throw Sale in the bullpen. Who knows? But at this point, it seems apparent to me that this Red Sox team is on a path where they're not nearly good enough to buy like you would want them to if they're going for a World Series. So they're either stuck going the clear opposite way in a sell, or trying to use a little bit of a shakeup and say, if it doesn't work, we might lose these guys for nothing like Bogaerts or JD. But at least we tried something and shake it up a little bit. They might have to. That's all I'm saying. They might have to do it. But that's going to wrap this up. The Red Sox. I'm sorry, Red Sox fans, you had to watch Sal more than Brazier, than Barnes tonight. 5 innings of it. Ridiculous. Not good. Rich Hill is tipping pitches again, which, Rich Hill, if he's tipping pitches, might give up 20 runs in 9 innings. So thank the Lord he only went 4. It's just been rough for the Red Sox. Rough series against the Orioles. And on our Orioles video, Pat and I said this Orioles team is better than they have been in the past. But that's still not an excuse to lose 3 out of 5. It's just not. It's just not an excuse. Make sure to check out all the links in the description. The podcast website, Instagram, Twitter, the Cruise Twitters. They're all down there. Make sure we will have another podcast. We have a brawl coming up. The Red Sox rotation versus the Yankees rotation. Who's better? Luke and John, the Red Sox fan versus Yankees fan, deciding that. Going at it at our brawl. So make sure to check out that podcast episode. That will be up the same day as this. I don't know exactly when, but it should be up sometime in the morning. So keep an eye out for that. Make sure to check out our Twitter. We did Twitter Space last night for the Red Sox game. So make sure to check out. We also did one a little bit during the Padres and Cardinals game. Just keep an eye out on the Twitters for that, because that's where we're going to get a lot of interaction with you guys. So make sure to check all that out. And we will have a prospect pipeline tomorrow on Wednesday. on Cedar Rafaela. So make sure to check that out. That's my favorite prospect in the system. So I'm excited to do that one and get that one in. And then on Friday, we have a video covering the New York Yankees. Will it be title 28 for the Yankees this year? We'll wait and find out what we think here at Bleacher Brawls. My name is Derek. Thanks for checking out Red Sox Recap. And yeah, we'll see you next time where the Red Sox will hopefully win a game.